Motorworld's annual Hot Summer Car Show is happening Saturday, August 31st. Are your documents ready?
Get easy pre-approval from Windward Islands Bank and RBC Bank when you bring the following documents.
A recent job letter addressed to Windward Island Bank or RBC Royal Bank.
Your last 2 payslips if paid monthly, or your last 4 payslips if paid bi-weekly.
2 forms of identification, your driver's license, ID card, or your passport.
A proof of address, this can be your utility bill or a registration form from the census office.
A pro forma invoice from Motorworld for the vehicle of your choice.
If you're not a Dutch resident, you have to get a resident paper along with a valid work permit.
A list of 3 references of people that you would know. You would look for their name, their address, their telephone number, and place of employment.
And that's all you need to get approved to drive away in your new car.
So don't miss out on Motorworld's Hot Summer Car Show on August 31st. We can't wait to see you there.
Show. Hope everything is okay. Hope everything is all right. I'm your.
Okay. Welcome to Late Night. I'm your host, Ulster Lawrence. I get used to this. I like this. I like this. Anybody singing here? Any singers? No? Okay, good. Thank you. Hey, tonight we got a nice show. As you know, there's no boring day in St. Martin because St. Martin is really almost not a real place. I told y'all on Monday, I bet you we get resignations the whole week. And we got 3 contestants today for resignation from their party. All of them, MC, they lead in the pack with the resignations coming from behind. First was National Alliance, and now on Monday, yesterday, okay, Mr. Blackburn, he took it on by himself. And today, 3 members of OMC are leaving the party with letters and everything. Number 16, number 10, and number 15. The names, I have the names somewhere. Okay, number 16 is San Francisco Lake. That's not a real name. I know, that's not a real name. What, they were just making up names? This dude name is San Francisco Lake. I think I know this dude. I recognize this dude. I think we just call it Eddie or something like that. San Francisco Lake. Number 16 was the next one was Daniel Jean. Yeah, he gone. And number 15, I think, was Aloysius. Yeah, we don't call the Aloysius. I mean, we don't call people San Francisco and Aloysius. Nah. Anyway, Eddie and Ali, to the best of your future. Comments came in about, and the total, I think these guys were about 18 votes together. Let's stop the voter discrimination. I had 15. Okay, so they had about 18, 15. I defended y'all. Stand up and be proud of all those votes. I just hope that all of these resignations don't have something to do with the count that keeps going up. We'll come back to that. Alrighty, next up, let's stay connected. Let's stay connected. What's going on in St. Martin? Starlink. Everybody want to know about, I don't know about y'all, I know a long time about Starlink, and most of us know a long time about Starlink. Apparently it came out that it's illegal. Like a lot of things on St. Martin. You should not have Starlink at home, and I hope nobody is involved in the moving in and out, because Minister Grisha say, you know, it's illegal. We have to get it done, but it's illegal basically. And I hope nobody's shipping these things in. I really hope there's no way of getting them on the island. All right? Okay, good. So yeah, that was in a press briefing. She spoke about that. And so we maybe need to check that out in a little bit more. Okay.
Good morning, colleagues, ministers. Good morning. Minister Heiliger, the hot topic today is the decision taken or the press release sent out by BTP regarding Starlink.
Okay. The count is still counting. Yo, They are still recounting. I got to shout out to the whole team. I mean, this is like, I wake up every morning, I'm like, let's check where they are. What Natalie we're in today. That's what we talking about at the watering hole. I got to say, everybody's like, Baker, you ain't supposed to be somewhere. Like, you're a busy man, but you here recounting, all these zeros. It feels like a waste of time. In fact, the general public enjoys when there's a little writing on it, a little, hey, yeah, I love you, or we looking for the mistakes. We need more out of this saga that's been going on for at least 4 days. We need more. I just feel we need more. Listen, Carla, love it. Love what you're doing. Sandy, y'all. Listen, we enjoying this soap opera, and Natalie. You know what? You all should run as a political party. I feel y'all have the resilience, and the push through, and to sit on that long in Parliament and not fall asleep. Y'all better than a lot of politicians that actually work hard to sit on in that room. So shout out to the counters. The count goes on. Whew.
Great job, Carl. Thank you. Jeremy, come on up. For the final word in the Spelling Bee Championship, please spell insurance.
Insurance. N-A-G-I-C-O. Insurance.
That's correct. I hope your father can spell Nagico too.
Nagico is insurance. Insurance is Nagico.
Back. We're right back here. You're watching The Late Show with a much more handsome gentleman than you normally see. Andrew is being Andrew somewhere. He'll be back shortly. But for today, I'm here, and you know what we're talking about? Press Briefing Wednesdays. Ooh. So, the best minister in St. Martin history! Grisha, she spoke today. And you know what I'm doing there, right? Okay, good. She spoke today. She gave out all her answers. She was a little harassed. She was a little bit harassed. We'll get to that. She was a little harassed. I don't think nobody should be harassing the greatest minister in the history of St. Martin ever. She should not be. Leave her alone, please. Okay, good. And then. You know who else was there? Super PM, Super Luke, Mercelina. You gotta say my name different now. I mean, come on. You see how he talking, he walking with much more. This is the highest vote getter. You know what I mean? You can't talk to him just normal like that. I mean, this man got 1,300 votes more than me. 1,300 votes more than me. When I see here, he's saluting him. Yes! The Prime Minister, highest vote getter. Yeah, you can't talk to him normal no more. BB asking him questions and people asking him questions. He just said, let me explain to you something. BB asks like a multi-level question. I'm sure we're going to show the clip.
Minister, I'd
this
like to
multi-level
remind you
question,
that,
he came
I
in
asked
like...
a question regarding TALEM, and if government is planning on selling TALEM, monopolizing, if you can give me that answer after. And Can you tell us, Prime Minister, recently we were invited to the signing of a declaration of intent with 4 political parties that will form the new government.
Mhm.
At what stage are we right now? Have you had the coalition agreement signed, and has that been sent to the governor yet? What about ministers? We are hearing a lot of bubbling in the street, a lot of stuff we're hearing about infighting, party disagreement. Have the ministers been selected, and have their names been submitted as yet for screening?
Hey, baby, let me explain to you how you run a government. Again, let me do this again. He went down the whole breakdown of the GB decision and how the containers set up now when they could be used so that next time we just don't go to capacity. He just break the whole thing down like Mr. 1300.
Yes. First of all, what we have analyzed the outcome of the elections. It sent a evident expression of sentiment of the people of St. Martin that we can agree on. The people are tired, they are fed up, and they are not amused by the way politics has been conducted in the recent past. So I think that is what they have expressed also in the result of the elections. After we analyzed, and I analyzed, and the other political parties also, the result of the elections, we came to a conclusion, each of us, and we settled to sign, as you were there too, a intention declaration. And that intention declaration is that we commit to sit seriously with each other on the table to see if we can get to a governing accord. And after the governing accord is signed, the next step will be, that is the third step, is to go over to the crystallization of a government program that will be based on the governing accord. The first phase being the intention declaration has been signed, and now we are sitting with each other to reach to the governing accord. Once you are sitting negotiation the governing accord, you have to sit and feel each other out about the different areas that you would like to govern on. Vision on healthcare, vision on education, economic growth for the country, to mention a few. What are we going to do with the infrastructure? And once you have a common ground of agreement that you will express in your governing accord, then you will sign that one. And then from there on, the governing program will be then based on the governing accord. And most of the time, a governing program is being signed 3 to 4 months after you sign a government. A government program will be signed 3 to 4 months after you sign your government accord. And why? Because once you sign the accord, you're going to go back in government, in this case we were in, and we're going to line up what is government currently doing, and what are the priorities. Do they all fit in what we want again as a new coalition, and see how we can actually accommodate all the desires that we had, together with the new ideas that we have, to make actually a good guideline for policies and government decisions for the future. We are still, so intention declaration has been signed, and now we are going to work on the governing accord. While as usual, St. Martin is already fighting or thinking that there is disagreement about ministers. That's not the case. We are just thinking about the bigger picture, realizing the challenges of this country. The minister is the one that is appointed to facilitate the country for us to move forward. Each coalition partner will get some ministries, and they will have to make sure that they appoint responsible people with great vision, with great capability to move forward the vision of the government that is formed. So appointment of ministers is at this particular moment not the main topic of discussion. It is for each coalition partner has to decide for themselves, present their candidate, and from there on,
as he should. You gotta stop messing with this man. I'm telling you. And I know a lot of it get lost in the accent, but I mean the Ukriso. So I think sometimes I gotta really like, yeah, instead of how Andrew just make fun of him, I could actually translate what he's saying to the regular St. Martin person. You know, there was this question. So the question is, after the Prime Minister went and explained in his piece, y'all gotta go watch that. When he explained that we even moving forward to CARICOM, to become a member of CARICOM, I hope you know what I mean, but he moving forward to CARICOM. After he said that, the panel of questions came from the journalists, okay? None of them from this part of the Caribbean, so to say. But immediately, it's the most local one there, really, in a way, okay?
Congratulations, welcome back.
Thank you.
First, a clarification. You mentioned the repairs for the Festival Village. How is that funded? Is that via the NRPB or is that via government coffers?
It's going to cost the community some money, but nothing is for nothing in life, they say. I can even tell it's going to be approximately 1.4 million Antillian guilders. But if we want improvement, we want great development for St. Martin, we will have to sometimes do what we have to do. We know everything what we want. Every day we know what we want. This government is here to say, if you want it, let's go for it. And if we are talking about and recognizing that this Carnival Village has an essential contribution to our community, I think 1.4 million guilders being about $800,000. It's acceptable for the cultural heritage contribution that it will offer this and the following generations for St. Martin, so I can live with it.
But from government budget, not the NRPB?
Yeah, we're going to do it from government budget, yes.
Let's go. So, Miss Jacqueline, she turns around and asks him this question, literally, like after the man just put the lights back on, that the old government leave come off, this lady asks this man this question, like, yeah, what about us providing water to the friend side? How much that charge? How much nails in the water? How you mixing the water and how that gonna burn up our GB Prime Minister? He answered extremely diplomatic.
Good morning, Prime Minister. The agreement signed by former Minister Otley in December went into effect in February this year.
Which agreement you're talking about?
It's about providing the friend side with water.
Yes.
Water. Mm-hmm. Were you informed about the added energy burden that represents? How many megawatts it requires to produce the extra water for the French side? And it was never mentioned how much the French side paid for this. And so do you have knowledge about this? Does it include a fuel clause for the French also? And is this going to continue? And what is the effect of the added energy burden on the whole situation and GB crisis?
Yes. At this particular moment, this government has priorities. And of course, in the times that has been signed and agreed upon, the circumstances of energy supply for the country was different than how it is now. Personally, I'm very honest with you, I did not have time to think on that follow-up aspect because the challenges were too big for the country. And at a certain moment when you govern, you have to give priorities. So at a certain moment I said, I have to solve my national crisis energy problem first before I look up to what I can do with the neighbors. That's logical that has to happen, but our problem was a too threatening crisis for us to focus or diversify our focus for St. Martin. So I'm not up to par in all details because that does not have my priority at this particular moment. I have really other priorities for St. Martin now.
But I don't think all of us get what he was trying to say. You know what, Play the question.
It was never mentioned how much the French side paid for this, and so do you have knowledge about this? Does it include a fuel clause for the French also? And is this going to continue? And what is the effect of the added energy burden on the whole situation and GB crisis?
Y'all hear the question, right? Play part of the answer.
Yes. At this particular moment, this government has priorities. And of course, in the times that has been signed and agreed upon, the circumstances of energy supply for the country was different than how it is now.
Okay? Let me translate what the Prime Minister was really trying to say to old sis Jacqueline. Lady, what you really on? Where you live in, lady? Where you live in? Who leaves she in here? Where you live St. Martin? Because it can't be. You live St. Martin. You must be living St. Bats. Where current don't go off because we just come through a situation. You check it out. You check it out. We try it. Wait, who tells she asked this question, yo? Yo, I got things to do. I got 1,315 things to do. And now you got me answering this. Ma'am, we got priorities. We got priority. We got time for, listen, you get to type that question. You know why? Because I put back on the power. That's why you could type that stupid question that you bring to the Council of Ministers to discuss with me. I got 1,315 reasons why you should ban you from coming in here, but I ain't Sylveria. So, basically, ma'am, we ain't dealing with it. We on to other things. We're going to pull that up when we can pull it up right now. We in a priority. And in case you living under a rock with solar, you would realize we just come out of we're still coming out of an energy crisis. I hope your current cut off when you reach home. Honorably. That's what he would say. That's the translation. That's not me. That's the translation. Regular people understand that. You know? Yeah, and then, and Bibi was harassing the best minister of all time. She went and her question was a little long, and it was a little redone. Like just get an answer. You're like, I ain't even gonna taste this food and just put it in the microwave and just send it back one time. And I think it came out a little bit on the good minister's face.
Good morning, colleagues, ministers, good morning. Minister Heiliger, the hot topic today is the decision taken or the press release sent out by BTP regarding Starlink. What laws under legislations are in place for any company that decides, even if Starlink or any other, to do beaming into satellites, which is in space? And also, do you believe, Minister, that people like the easy way out or the cheaper way out, or people are looking for services? Besides that, BTP is responsible for giving out of license for concessions and license. Also, are they also not in charge of supervising the quality of service provided by these providers? And what exactly is your position on all of this development regarding Starlink and BTP?
Okay, so that's a fully loaded question. So I'll start with a full story on that. So when I just got into office about 3 months ago, I was informed by BTP that there's a legislation in the pipeline to allow them to empower them to put fines on services, because they don't have the law is not there to allow them to empower them to fine companies like Telem and Flow that are not giving services up to par. So we're busy with that legislation, and I'm pushing that legislation hard because, as you can see, our services has not been up to par. Any company that wants to do business in St. Martin has to go through the process of applying for concession. Starlink has an agreement with the French side, but our island is so tiny that it also beams over to the Dutch side. So now we are, we made a strong statement this week stating that anyone that's selling Starlink antennas are not allowed to do that because Starlink has no concession. It is not fair that Flow and Telem are paying their dues and not Starlink. So with that, Starlink has to go through the exact same process as Flow and Telem. We're not saying that they can't do business in St. Martin. We do believe in fair competition, and we do believe that our people, the consumers deserve a quality service. So with that, we'll see how far that goes. But right now, as it is, Starlink does not have a concession agreement with BTP, and we're looking to maybe clarify that and get that done.
I checked Starlink website and they said they're starting business on Saint Martin, not Saint Martin, on Saint Martin as of October 2025. This means that there are some kind of negotiations taking place.
Yes. There is right now discussions. I did mention before that we are in discussions with Starlink. So now they're going to go through the process. Until that concession is done, we cannot allow the antennas to be sold.
Then what is BTP doing to make sure?
She's human. We're allowed to have these facial expressions, especially when people are asking you questions like that. All right, I can't translate her answer, but it went something like, "For real? You for real? You for real?"
Then, Bibi, you're not understanding the purpose of what BTP does. BTP is a regulator. We cannot have companies come in here and not pay their dues. BTP is doing that part, making sure that Starlink has the concession to allow them to continue to do the sell services on the Dutch side of St. Martin. So that is what BTP is doing. BTP is doing its job. You can't come here and sell services free and don't pay the dues to our regulator. So that is the job of BTP. You will be hearing from BTP as soon as possible, as soon as they have something in place with Starlink. It's not that you just, we cannot be continue to be lawless. You understand what I'm saying? So that's mainly why BTP did that. Let them know that, hey, we don't have a concession with you. You cannot have your antennas sold here until you have a concession agreement with us. And that's mainly the focus.
All of that in one look.
Hello, my people. Make sure you tune in to Sit, Sip, and Chat every Monday at 5 p.m. on TV 15 and every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m.
And make sure tune in to the Late Night Show with Andrew Dick from Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. with a repeat in the afternoon for no reason. In the afternoon, the Late Night Show at 3 p.m. Thank you, TV 15.
Thank you, TV 15. Make sure to tune in.
Make sure to tune in to the Late Night.
And Sit, Sip, and Chat.
Late Night.
Welcome to the National Institute for Professional Advancement, where dreams meet education. At NEPA, we offer 9 exciting programs to help you reach your full potential. From our state-of-the-art culinary program, where you can master the art of cooking, to our hospitality program, preparing you for the dynamic world of service. Our electrical installation technician program offers hands-on experience and practical skills for a bright future. Our ICT program is designed for the digital age, and our general property maintenance program helps you craft a solid foundation in construction. Plus, gain real-world skills in our automotive technology program, with day and evening classes and validated certifications. Join us at NEPA, where your journey to success begins. Enroll now.
We're right here on the Late Night. Let's check our flashback.
Flashback. Welcome to the Late Night Show. Hope everything is okay. Hope everything is all right. I'm your host, Andrew Dick. Okie dokie, what's happening on the lovely island of St. Martin? To vote or not to vote? That is the question. The wonderful members of Parliament of the Electoral Committee, not the Electoral Committee, the Committee of Parliament dealing with the elections and electoral reform. They met on Tuesday, and it was a very, very, very interesting exchange. So the PFP has a suggestion. The suggestion is that the curtains that they have when you go in a voting booth, they want them gone. So then you could just see the person voting. The reason why is because it stops, of course, anybody from going in their pocket, taking out their phone, snapping a picture so that they could sell or show that, you know, they voted for a particular person so they could get the money. Now, of course, there are so many logistical reasons why it does not work. However, you know, that's why it came to the committee so that they can start the discussion. So, you know, you had MPs giving different suggestions or giving different indications and scenarios of how people sell their vote. And I swear to God, it was almost as if they were experts. I don't know. But for some reason, they just knew exactly how and what happens when somebody goes and vote and how somebody can verify whether they voted for the person or yes or no. It was a work of art, I must say. The discussion, let's give you the highlights. Try to follow it because it was back and forth all over the place. Let's go.
The PFP's faction position on this issue has been made clear in our two, soon to be three letters to the Prime Minister, as the government continues its much talked about trajectory towards electoral reform. So I look forward to hearing from my colleagues on this issue and the discussion to follow. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Gums. Which member of parliament wishes to have the floor? MP Heiliger Martin, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning to everyone listening and viewing online, and good morning to my fellow colleagues, and good morning to those sitting in the tribune. First of all, Madam Chair, I would like to thank MP Gums for taking the initiative to have this meeting. Electoral reform is something that will benefit the democracy of St. Martin in general, and ultimately each and every individual voter as well. We have had a number of meetings on this topic over the years, with a number of proposals being brought forward and discussed. So I'm happy that we have now reached to the point where, as legislators, we will formally propose changes to the current law or suggest changes to the current law. The proposal of MP Gums has the support of my faction because it will contribute to the transparency of our elections. And adding barcodes to the individual ballots, as I suggested to the government in November of last year, will limit the risk of ballot manipulation and increase the efficiency of the ballot counting and verification process after the polling station have closed. I therefore look forward to the follow-up of the government on these proposals, which will enhance our democracy, I stated before, of St. Martin. And finally, Madam Chair, I want to again stress on the responsibilities of the voting public. Voting is, of course, a right and a free choice. But we all as voters should remember that we get the government that we vote for. As Sugar Aloes, the Calypsonian of in Trinidad once sang, you get the government you deserve. So it is the individual responsibility of each and every one of us to vote for the persons we believe is the right person for the right reasons. With that, I would like to end my statement, and I thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Heiliger Martin.
Madam Chair, I wanted to look at this as something being practical in the sense of physically, what is the intentions really for it to be done in terms of moving the curtains? Is it for more security? Is it for more fairness? Is it for more equality? What exactly is it for? I'm asking those type of questions because it plays over in my mind over and over. How is it going to be done? Because as it is, are we keeping the same boots then? because as it is right now, you walk into the booth and your back is towards everyone else that's inside the hall, if I should say. So what you have sometimes, Madam Chair Lady, or most often times, what you have is a representative of every political party inside a booth. Not a booth, but inside a hall. And what are they there for? They are there to see who all came in, and when the number is called off, on the ballot, they would mark down this number and they would mark down that number because it works for them to see how many votes was cast thus far. If you could if you have a little resemblance of this individual, and you could say, well, this one is an NA, you know, so yeah, this one come in. So one of ours just come in. You know, I have been in the hall so many times, and this is what goes on. You also have the staff that works there, and you also have a police officer who does be there most times. But you have a curtain. You have a curtain. So those that are behind you can't see what goes on with you inside of the booth. Now, Madam Chair, with the removal of the curtain, because this is what I'm asking, are they going to turn the booths around? Would our back still be facing those in the back of us? Because if that is the case, Madam Chair, most of the times a ballot is about the size of this. Most of the time, the ballot is about this size in width. Most times. And because you most times you have 5 and 6 and 7 parties. So now if you have 8 political parties, you have a ballot about this size. I'm just asking the practical question because now let me stand up and say I go into the booth with my ballot like this, Madam Chair. If I go in with a booth and this is my ballot and I take the pen, but there's no curtain behind me. There is no curtain. And I'm taking the pen because now the pencil, the red pencil, you have to circle inside the small little dot that they have. You have to circle inside. But now there's no, how should I say, privacy. There's none because now the curtain is removed. And you have the different parties coming down. If I'm standing and everyone is behind me, and I take that little red color pencil and I do so. But everyone else who is behind me, who have a ballot, a dummy ballot, and you have dummy ballots. You have dummy ballots. So the political parties that's inside, that's taking the record, they have dummy ballots. So they know how the political parties are aligned on the correct ballot. But there's no curtain behind me. There is none. So if I take that red crayon or that red pencil and I have to mark here, those behind me would automatically see which side this person put that mark on. Or if I shift this way, or if I shift in the middle. That's what I'm asking. How is it going to be when you remove the curtain? Because it can't simply just be removing the curtain. It can't simply just be removing the curtain. Okay, we remove the curtain and then what? Because then there's no more privacy, there's no more secrecy, there's no more I am of my free will and intentions to go and vote. I sure if I mean whoever is behind me and I put my pencil mark here or my pencil mark here or my pencil mark here, they're going to see it. Is it going to be a case now where I have to scoosh down like this and try? How is it going to be, Madam Chair Lady? Those are the questions that I'm asking with the removal of the curtain. So I'm asking my colleagues that presented it is not against or for, is removal of the curtain and what in terms of secrecy, security, privacy, for one to have that free will to mark on their ballot their choice who they want to vote for. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, MP Emmanuel. I give the floor to MP Gums.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just if I could have the opportunity to respond to some of the questions. So the goal is to remove the curtain to protect the electoral process. I've only participated in one election as a candidate, as a party leader, but I was never offered the opportunity to be inside the polling station while votes were being cast. I voted Melford Hazel. I was held in a line allowed to go inside by myself. There was no party representative from any of the parties in there marking off anything or checking off anything. It was just the staff, the security. I'm not sure how it goes at other polling stations, but I assume all of us live in different districts, so we can weigh in on that. But at my polling station, that was not the setup, nor were any political representatives allowed inside. So privacy is guaranteed by the walls that already encircle and encapsulate the voter. The curtain allows for the voter to disregard the signs that are outside each polling station to not use your mobile phone. When you close that curtain, is you, the ballot guard, on your phone, basically. So the motivation to remove the curtain is to take away that opportunity of the voter to sell their vote. And I 100% agree with MP Pantoflet that we need to do a lot more work to educate voters on why selling their vote is actually bad for them and for the country in the long term. I also want to state that in the original document that was sent to the Prime Minister, I already provided examples of the fact that if you look at within the kingdom, for example, St. Martin and Aruba are the only two with a curtain still. Sabre does not have a curtain, and they have a much smaller population than we do. So if the concern is who could see you moving to what party on the ballot, I think they would have to also kind of be worried about that, but they don't seem to be. Their elections have continued fair and free and open.
One thing that struck me from the proposal regarding the curtains is the reference to Holland. And I think in Parliament, we are too inconsistent with sometimes saying, well, what works in Holland does work there, and then sometimes at the next breath saying, yeah, but you can't compare Holland to St. Martin. That is an inconsistency that I'm noticing. And if something is good in Holland and we think we can apply it, just say, well, I like how Holland does it. But let's not make it that that's the gold standard. And then on the other hand, for other issues, you say, yeah, but that can never work in St. Martin. Let's just be consistent that you use that as a case, but not kind of putting Holland or Curacao or other countries as if there's a sort of pressure on the member of parliament to say, oh God, I better agree to this proposal because Holland doing it and Curacao doing it and Sabre doing it. St. Martin is an extremely unique place. We have to take an amalgam of different ideas and apply it to our country, due to our size, due to our border, due to our cultures. So all I'm saying, that was the first observation. I understand the premise of looking at Holland, but what I thought was maybe a fairer way to look at it is what is maybe an international standard, okay? That gives you best practices, not telling you this is how you got to do it, but some best practices. And when I researched some of the best practices or which organization tends to support countries with that is I saw the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. And regarding balloting, they state the following. The provisions in the legal framework regulating control and security of the ballot, as well as the provisions for governing the casting of a ballot at a polling station, should ensure a balance between both security, while at the same time ensuring that no individual ballot can be identified as having been marked or voted by in a particular fashion. So the general guiding principle is that, yes, there's a balance. We see a proposal that is, let's say, trying to solve one part of the issue, which they also go into. Ballot secrecy is an effective counter to vote buying, to voter intimidation, and to other undue influences. However, no member of a polling station committee or any other person, except during the counting of ballots, should allow to see the manner in which a voter has marked a ballot. So while they are admitting that, listen, you have to kind of put some measures, they directly call out vote buying. But in all their research, we're not the first country in the world that has probably encountered this issue. And then you have an international organization that says, look, we understand you need to fix this issue, but you have to reconcile that with the issue that MP Emmanuel brought up. The right of a person to feel comfortable and secret when they are voting. You know, one thing that I believe in this country that is more democratically damaging than vote buying is political intimidation. Because of vote buying, the person, we heard of people maybe taking money or they're not messing with them. You see people marking the ballot all over the place. But if I have a fear that for the next 4 years, there's somebody from a party that will not like the fact that I vote on this side of the ballot instead of that side of the ballot, and then my job as a civil servant is in jeopardy or my contracts are in jeopardy. This has been happening for decades in this country. And the one day that the people of St. Martin have a way to voice and say, I don't like the way that party or this party is moving, is that day. And because we believe that there are some bad apples, what do we think vote buying is? 10%, 20%? Even if you think it's 40%, which I think is ridiculous. The vast majority of the population is not doing it. So are we going to, as recommended by the IDEA International, that you reconcile the need for voter secrecy with voter right to privacy? That is all I'm observing from this proposal, and I think MP Emmanuel kind of illustrated one of those reasons well. Perhaps maybe the way that the positioning is there, we don't have huge halls. Like when I voted in the Netherlands, I mean, it was the size of a gymnasium. You know, when I come into that gymnasium, the chances of that person in Harlem even knowing who Rolando Bryson is nil to none. But when I go into a polling station, every single time I voted in St. Martin, I see at least 4 or 5 people that know me personally.
But just to be clear, how and what is happening right now, how it works is simple. The first person to walk in to the voters to the district, the district of whatever district you're on, you're going to vote. They walk in with a dummy ballot. They close the curtains, and they switch the dummy ballot with an original ballot. So the curtains are closed. They can put the original ballot in their bag, take the dummy ballot, walk out, and place that in the bin, thereby forfeiting their vote. They go back to the orchestrator of whoever wants to buy the votes. They hand them over the original ballot. The orchestrator will then take a red color pencil, highlight the person they want the vote to go to. Another person will come in, take the original, bring it in, close the curtains, swap them again, and go in, put in the exact one with the vote on it, and bring back a clean slate. Now,
Krisha just give like this explanation as if like, how does she know this? I didn't even know that. Okay. Sorry, let's continue.
with the request of the PFP faction to omit the curtains and my suggestion to add barcodes, it will go as following. You won't be able to see the swapping, because then, they'll just go in. No picture taking, no swapping would happen because it's clear. How they vote in front of them, no one will be able to see it because you're just voting whatever your choice is. Your back is to the audience or whoever is there. And then you will go in, and then before putting it into the ballot, you scan. You scan, and then you add it into the ballot. This way, then you are guaranteed to not have any dummy ballot in there, because now with a dummy ballot in there, you can see it's tampered. Whether it's 10, 300, 400, once a dummy ballot in there, it is guaranteed that some kind of vote buying has occurred at that point. Now,
what I am saying is, if you believe that the changes of the curtains are so paramount to the very democracy of our country, why are you allowing that to be delegated to the government? Madam Chair, in the time that the MPs, the last two MPs were speaking, I just drafted something. Landverordening van de datum tot wijziging van de kiesverordening om gordijnen te verbieden bij kieshokjes. Kort, landverordening stemhokjes zonder kieshokjes. Overwegende genomen dat het belangrijk is om de integriteit van de verkiezingen op Sint Maarten te beschermen, dat het belangrijk is om ervoor te zorgen dat niemand misbruik maakt van zijn privacy, heeft de Raad van Advies verhoord, etc. Artikel 55 wordt als volgt gewijzigd. De verkiezingskabines zullen geen gordijnen hebben. Just saying something. You have your framework there. And then the next article can say further rules can be laid out by national decree. What I'm saying, if this debate is about something that's so important, why are you allowing it to do that? And don't tell me it can't be done. Because in this parliament, with the support of certain members of parliament in here, I brought an amendment to change the fact that the Minister of Finance was allowed by LB Ham to sign international agreements such as CRS and FATCA. Because I had a fear that it is such of important national significance that the parliament must have a say if you are going to be signing international agreements with organizations like FATCA and CRS. But the LB Ham allowed the minister to do it. I didn't pass the buck to then Minister Perry Healings. I said, Minister, we need to sit down and come to an amendment because you have to ensure that the parliament is involved before you go signing these type of agreements that could destroy our financial system.
But I know for a fact that all the years that I have been voting and going into the ZAL, going into the voting station, there's always people there because I have done it to myself. I have been a recorder for the amount of people that goes in. I have sat in there. Almost every polling station have recorders from different political parties on the inside. And this is what I'm saying. So, okay, that is to prevent the cell phones. All right, fine. But I'm sure here we have my colleague, MP Pantafleck, sitting behind me. He can see who I vote for. So I can make sure, tell that person outside, you make sure got my $200 there ready for me. Because your man of business who inside there, going confirm. He saw me take the pencil and mark it over there by you. Because that's where your number is at. That's where your number is at. Because now everybody can see. Because I would want to believe this the issue for the curtain is the privacy. The privacy is the reasons why we have the curtains. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I am asking the questions, the reason for removing it. It can't simply be the cell phone. That's what I'm asking. What's the reason behind it? So we're going to remove the curtain, and then what? There must be some other level of privacy the individual can have going into the booth, being free, clear of mind, not just the walls in between him. What about the wall behind him? Everyone is seeing, everyone can see. People are nervous. That's why I'm asking the question. That's why I'm asking these questions. And then to come to this, taking out one ballot and putting one ballot inside, how do they get the first ballot? How do they get that first ballot? Because, Madam Chair, you can ask for a new ballot if you think you make a mistake. So, in other words, it's a train that they're running based from what I'm hearing. So you go inside and they call out your name. Not only do they call out your name, they call out your number. And they hand you that ballot. You go inside the booth. What do you do with that ballot? You take that ballot and you put it in your pocket, and then you pull out another ballot that was given to you from the outside, and you come back outside of the booth and you shove that one inside. But the first ballot to start the train, how do they get that?
All right. So what happens now? Nothing. They're just going to continue these discussions. Meanwhile, elections, early elections, maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But stay tuned. In other news, the oil spill that took place on Monday. Of course, government was pissed off because it happened on the ring road, and nobody took responsibility until the people actually were investigated. The different NGOs and also government started to investigate, and it belonged to somebody who shipped it from St. Eustatius to St. Martin and put a container on the ring road. And for some reason, it get damaged or something get damaged, and the oil spilled out there on the pond side. Why are you shipping oil from St. Eustatius? Listen, I don't know. But this is what Minister of Romy said on Wednesday about the incident.
Upon investigation, it was found that persons had loaded a container with used motor oil. The method used to hold this oil was a very large plastic-lined canvas-type bag At some point, this bag broke, releasing an estimated 500 to 600 cubic feet of oil. The environmental damage caused by this was immediately addressed by the ministry. The leak was contained using sand barrier while the oil was sucked up by a pump truck. Also on hand to assist were persons from the Nature Foundation, as leaders to say there was a risk for wildlife in the area as well. The work continues as we now scrape away all the affected soil and replace it. We also are busy removing damaged shrubs and other plant life so that there's no residue from the oil left back. This is a huge undertaking, and I want to thank those who responded to assist the ministry as well. I must mention that we have identified the persons who are responsible, including the shipping company of whom the container is leased. I'm completely baffled as to why people would even have placed a container of hazardous material on the ring road. This container, which is to my understanding, originated from St. Eustatius and was leased to a specific shipping company. The shipping line and the owners of the contents were notified by government representatives, and some were on the scene. It was made clear to them that they would bear the cost of the cleanup. This incident is in line with my wish to see government land freed up of shipping containers and other debris. We have spent a lot of time and money cleaning up the ring road, yet over the last few weeks, we have noticed some feel that it is a dumping ground or a storage area. I will continue the efforts on my end to ensure that this practice stops and persons are made aware and pay for their carelessness and their lack of respect. We have already started the process of removing shipping containers, chassis, and the like from the roadsides. Persons are reminded that they should store their containers safely on their own property. Government will hold persons breaking this request responsible financially as well, and for the removal costs. Furthermore, we will not be held liable for any objects that may be damaged during this removal process. As a minister, I see such actions as this deplorable act, persons behind them, and the ones who do not care for this island. These persons pretend to love the island, but under the darkness of night, behind closed doors, and even closed container doors, do contrary. The way the oil was stored, where it was placed without a safety plan, and also is clearly an act of criminal carelessness. The police were called in, and the report is also forthcoming. The owner claim of sabotage, whether real or not, it goes without saying the proper storage procedure was not followed in the first place. This reminds me of a recent monument destruction. We cannot and will not allow people to destroy our country and get away with it. Yes, even to that I have not forgotten. I'm awaiting the final report from Minister Samuel and the Monument Council so that we can shed some light on this unforgivable situation that took place a couple of weeks ago.
So that was late night. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow if I'm not locked up. Have a good night.